What up, my good people in the YouTube world? You already know who it is, and you already know what it is. It's your boy B, the outlier, and I'm right back up at you cats with another video. And today, it's the day before Valentine's Day. And this always means something special to me. I'll get more into that a little bit later, tell you why Valentine's Day means so much to me. We're going to speak about a couple things today. Y'all know we do the 10%. I'm going to tell you about my health. We're going to speak about work. Then we're going to speak about random topics. And today, that random topic is what Valentine's Day means to me, why this day is so special, and how I mark my life. And if we can, we're going to get into a little bit of this internet talk, man, and the new type of person that this internet is creating, and internet bullying, my people. We got one person in the check-in. Hit that like button. If this is something that you like, give me a subscribe. And what is this? And what are the things that I speak about, my people? I'm just a regular brother on his way to work, telling you guys about some of the things he learned, some of the things that I see. And if I touch on something that strikes you in your heart, something that makes you feel some type of way, drop it in the comment section, man. Let me know. Also, let me know where you coming from. And let me know what you're all about, my people. Yes, sir. So the first thing we speak about is that health. And the health is definitely going to be in the main topic that we speak about, man. And how am I feeling? Listen, bro, I'm feeling great, man. The last 2 days, I don't know what it has been, but I've been following this strict path, man, this strict schedule. And that's going to bed early, eating a small little meal prior to going to sleep when I get home from work, taking a nap, waking up, eating something else, and then I just go to sleep, man. There's no waking up in the middle of the night. I wake up and the whole night is just going. It's like I escape into an abyss. And when you wake up, you don't remember anything from the day before. Of course, you remember things that happened, but while you were asleep, anything could have happened, man. You know, anything could have happened. And it feels great because it's like satisfied. You just feel satisfied. You guys ever have a meal that you eat where it tastes delicious and you're not hungry after? You could do more, but you just content. And that's the way this sleep feel. Just content, man, just content. I could have got a few more minutes of sleep, but I didn't want to. I got up feeling great, man, like feeling my body like, damn, son, this is a great, great, great feeling. And I want to keep that up. But my pancreatitis did mess up, and we're going to talk about that a little later. Now, work. I told you cats about work, man. What up? Somebody on the check-in said, hello, my boy, Holder Gaming, 15. I don't know if gamers are just up at this time of the night. I don't know what it is, but I get mad people in my comment section who are gamers. Shout out to all the gamers out there, man. Shout out to all the gamers out there. We got Marla Sanchez said, hi, what's up, Miss Sanchez? We got Dupree, W21 said, hey, what up, Dupree? My boy Dupree said, what up? Jermaine Dupree in the check-in. Ashley also said, hello from Texas. Straight from Texas. Ashley. That was my wife, my late wife. Her name was Ashley. Shout out to Ashley, straight from Texas. What they doing out there in Texas, man? I never been to Texas before. I only flew. I forget where I was coming from, but we had a stopover out there in Dallas. Shout out to all the people in Texas, man. One of my favorite rappers is from Texas. I believe he's from Houston. My boy Devin the Dude. Shout out to the I Squad. Shout out to Rap A Lot Records. Shout out to my boy Devin the Dude. I always say he's an honorary member of the clique I used to run around with back in college, you know? We used to call ourselves 103. And I say that Devin the Dude is an honorary member. You know, if you ever come to Nassau County, you ever come to New York, that's somebody I want to do with, man. You know, definitely got the vibes that I'm with. Somebody said, Dupree said, I don't know what that sign is, said, hey, but what's up? Said, what's up from Siberia? My man Dupree is from Siberia. What up to my people in Siberia? Yeah, it is trying to get warm someday. Yeah, it's definitely trying to get warm. Earlier this week out here in New York, it was what, 7 degrees on Monday, but now it's done heated up to 30. And great walking weather, you know? So let's talk about that work. Y'all, well, I never told you cats. I think I've hinted at it before, but I am a director at my company, right? And there's only one person in my department that's ahead of me, and he's an officer. So the way things work is that the VP gives the officer directives, and then that comes down to me. And the officer tells me what to do. And then, I get the staff up and we do it. So basically what we had to do is lower the complaints. You cats know I work in transportation. So we're trying to lower these driver complaints. And we didn't know how much we wanted to lower it, but I did get the directive, and the directive is to lower the complaints by 10%. Somebody said, good morning. Good morning, moaning. Yes, sir. So the objective is to lower these complaints by 10%. And yesterday, I did, I analyzed the data just for February and January of this year. So we put them all into buckets, seeing where these complaints are happening. I did a report, wrote up some of my suggestions. My manager, he loved it. He said, now I need you to do the same thing for 2025. And we got 4 different brokers who perform the trips for us. And I see who's doing the complaints. I see what's happening. And listen, people, it's simple, man. I'm not going to say it's simple, but it's procedures, man. Definitely procedures. We got a bunch of drivers out here who do rides for us. A lot of these cats, like I said, they're brokers. So they don't come from a base, as some of you guys would imagine. Basically, they're independent people like Uber drivers and people like that. So our biggest bucket of complaints, no-shows. And a no-show is when a driver comes to a pickup location. Let's say they'll come to this house right here, and they don't wait for the client, or they're waiting in a wrong place. You cats know I work out of New York City, and New York City isn't like Long Island. This is Freeport, Long Island. So you see, we got a whole bunch of houses, or Uber driver, or anybody could come up here, like that car, pull up in front of your crib. In the city, we have a bunch of buildings, man, whole bunch of buildings, and these buildings got different pickup locations. Now, one thing that we put a lot of emphasis on is OTP, and that is on-time performance. And we try to have a 20-minute on-time performance of 93, 94% or higher. So that means that if we have 100 trips, 94 of those trips need to arrive within the 20-minute window, my people. And what happens is you get a lot of drivers who want to rush. They want to rush, So when they rush, they'll arrive to a place, and then it's a building, and they don't want to wait for the client. So they bouncing. And that's a no-show. And what happens is a client, let's say they need to go to a doctor, or they need to go to the dialysis, or just want to visit a friend. They're calling in to say that, damn, the driver didn't wait. So that's about 60% of the complaints that we have. And if we are trying to lower that by 10%, I'll say stop giving the drivers so many trips because they're rushing to get to these places. I'll also say to put better notes for the drivers to make sure that they're waiting in the proper place. Also to basically tell them to wait, man, make them wait, implement a policy and enforce the policy. Make sure that these drivers are waiting for 5 minutes for these clients to come out. And I believe that you keep pushing this message to the drivers throughout a 12-month period, those complaints will go down. And if, again, we could drop it to 10%, then we reached our goal. We definitely reached our goal. And we are one of the biggest public transportation places in the world, not just New York, in the world. So this is something, when I do it, not if, but when I do it, this is something that I could bring along with me, even when I retire. And people start asking about credentials, I could say, well, I help lead one of the largest, I help decrease complaints by a certain amount for the largest transportation company in North America or the world, if I really want to get technical with it. And that's something that you could put on your ledger, something you could put on your resume. And it's official, my people. Official. Most definitely official. So that's how work been going. You feel me? We got the next topic now that we speak about. And this goes into internet bullying. This goes into the internet. And this goes into health, my people. So y'all know it's February 13th. Tomorrow is Valentine's Day, February 14th. And 20 years ago, 2006, well, in 2005, I got sick, my people. You know, I got sick. I told you cats, I mentioned before that I was a heavy alcoholic, my people. And with alcohol, what happens is if you drink a lot, man, you could develop something called pancreatitis. And that's what I got, pancreatitis, man. And I remember those pains was just unbearable, my people. Unbearable pains, yo. I put on Facebook yesterday that I would not wish pancreatitis on anyone. And it's a disease where your digestive enzymes basically attack your body and it start eating you up on the inside. And the stomach pain that I was feeling was crazy, my people. I've never felt anything like that before. People will tell you that gallstones and things like that hurt. If gallstones feel like that, then that's most definitely one of the harshest pains that any human should have to go through. And I hate the doctor, but the pain was so much that I couldn't even walk, my people. Somebody said, where are you at? Alaska or Georgia? That's funny, hilarious, yo. So funny, Georgia. Nah, I'm not in Georgia. I'm in New York, man. You know, it's been so cold that the snow is still out here. And shout out to Georgia. I spoke about Georgia and hip hop last week. Well, yesterday, actually. And I spoke about that Goody Mob album, Soul Food. And I said that that's probably one of the most transformative albums that ever dropped in hip hop. And that's one of my top 10, top 20 albums of all times. And Goody Mob, you know, coming from a New Yorker, I tell you right now, I kind of like Goody Mob more than I like Mobb Deep, you know? I like Prodigy probably more than I like Goody Mob, but overall, I would say Goody Mob definitely influenced me a lot more than Mobb Deep. And that's real coming from a New Yorker, especially out here in Freeport. Because if you know anything, Prodigy is from Hempstead, where I'm from, and Havoc, he actually used to live out here in Freeport. You did? But yeah, so with the drinking, man, it messed me up. And I had so much pains that I had to sign myself into the ER. And that was on Halloween Day, 2005, right? Now, I would go into a coma because it attacked my lungs and I had to be put on a respirator. So they put me on an induced coma. And what happened was that I literally was out of it until the week of Christmas in 2005. And there was a big snowstorm that year, man. Go ahead and check the news. Y'all will see it, man, and see what I'm talking about. To tell you I ain't lying. A big snowstorm, my people. And I woke up that week and peep it. I would be in the hospital from December all the way up to February. And I was released on Valentine's Day in the year 2007. I'm gonna drop a picture of, you know, me on the respirator, me in that induced coma, and almost died, my people. Definitely almost died. And what happened was that they removed most of my pancreas. I probably got like 5% of my pancreas now. And your pancreas is very important because it gives you digestive enzymes and it also produces insulin. So now my body does not produce insulin and I got to take insulin. Somebody on the check and they said, we still in the car or just walking home? So nah, we ain't stealing no cars today, man. We ain't stealing no cars, but I'm walking to work. I got to catch the train. So I'm walking to work today, my people. Walking to work, about to get on that train, and we headed to New York City. Yes, sir. So yeah, again, so now, you know, drinking, the pancreatitis, the fact that they took out my pancreas, it created a situation where my body doesn't produce insulin anymore, and now I do have to take insulin. So I'm insulin dependent and I got to take my insulin every day. But I still get those pancreatic pains. Still get those pancreatic pains. Now, prior to my pancreatitis, I was what, 26 years old. I'll be 46 in May. So that was 20 years ago. That's a whole lifetime, my people. And that's me being on them streets, man. You know, I was a heavy drinker. I was reckless during that time, like going to clubs, going to bars, thinking I was this, trying to be a thug, doing all that nonsense that I wasn't raised to do, you know? So when I come up here and talk, listen, you're getting talk from somebody who's been there, somebody who's done all of that, right? And the stuff I say, I earned it through clarity. You feel me? Earned it right now. That's from being reckless, from being crazy back when I was 26. Now, think about that. I was 26 years old, my people. Somebody said facts. Yes, sir. So think about that. I was 26 years old. So if you coming up here and you 21 and you got anything to say about me, listen, bro, you was one. When I done lived the lifestyle going, like, you was one, all right? If you 30, right? 20 years ago, you was 10 years old. You was still in the crib, 10 years old. Before, I lived a whole lifestyle. So I could get up here and talk about some of this stuff, being 46 and going through a lot of stuff that even 50-year-olds, 60-year-olds haven't had life-threatening situations to put things into perspective. Now, this is going to go into the new type of person that I see. The new type of person I see. Now, there's something called Google Maps, my people. And Google Maps is official. Somebody said I'm 46 years old too. Yes, sir. So you already know about the world, son. You lived enough. At 46 years old, you lived enough, done seen enough, and you know how this world go. And you can speak from some of the things that you've experienced. And a lot of these cats now who 22, 23, 24, 25, 30, 35, they haven't gone through half of the things that you went through in your life, man. But the internet nowadays done created a whole, somebody said Brooklyn bread. Shout out, what part of Brooklyn you from, man? Shout out, I'm from Long Island, man, Hempstead. But what part of Brooklyn you from? Somebody said, I live down the block. You live down the block where? Down the block in Freeport? Where, over here? That's what up, that's what up. Yes, sir. Yeah, so the internet done created a whole different type of person. And I'm gonna use an analogy so that some of you cats can understand. Now, they got something called Google Maps. Well, I used to use it. And like, I'm inquisitive. So I'll go to Google Maps and I'll go into a neighborhood, right? Let's say I'll go into a Compton. I'll go into a Hollywood. I'll go into a place in Georgia, some place in Missouri, St. Louis, like these types of places, right? And they have something called Street View. And you could go into the Street View and you could actually walk down the block, yo, and it will feel like you're there. So we got somebody said I used to live in Long Island in Brentwood. When was working out there. Shout out to Brentwood. Yeah, Brentwood, another real place, you know. Shout out to Brentwood. I actually used to live in Amityville. Like, damn, how long ago was that? That was like 4 or 5 years ago during COVID. I used to live in Amityville. Shout out to the good people in Suffolk County. Suffolk County is a real place, man, and big. Suffolk is real big, my people. Word up. Somebody said Brentwood still ran by MS-13. I'm off the streets, man. 46, I don't know. But Brentwood was definitely one of those places that was run by MS-13. MS-13 was real out here, my people, especially in Long Island. I think even Trump came out here and was speaking about how crazy it was with MS-13. And I'm from Hempstead, so y'all know Hempstead had another Hispanic gang called Spanish with Pride. You know, a lot of Latin kings was out here in Hempstead also. And when MS-13 first came out here, bruh, I got caught up in 2 different situations where it was kind of like gang wars. One time, damn, y'all taking me off my topic, man. Damn, son, y'all taking me off my topic. But all right, I'll let y'all take me there. So, like I said, in Hempstead, back when I was growing up in Hempstead, it wasn't really gang related. It was really like areas, you know. We had Parkside, we had Terrace. I'm from the Heights. I'm from both, man, honestly. I'm from the Heights and also Parkside too, you know, because I've spent a lot of time on Martin Luther King Drive, you feel me? Or for South Franklin. But there was one time when I'm driving, I'm 21, 22. Somebody said, go back on topic. All right, yeah, I'm gonna go back on topic. Let me go back on topic. Yeah, let me not even get into that. I'm gonna stay on topic. So yeah, so basically, you know, you could go to Google Maps, right? And in Google Maps, you could literally walk down neighborhoods and see the block and see the street corners and everything. So you could get a feeling that you know how these things work and how the internet work. I'm sorry, but how these streets work. But in actuality, you don't. You don't really know how these things work. You're just getting it from an internet view. You're not speaking to the people. You're not smelling the air out there. You're not walking on the streets. Your feet don't touch the pavement over there. But if you're one of those people, you can get up there and talk like you know. Now, this gets into what I was telling you cats. You got the Adam 22s who come up here and they bring up real gangsters, like real gangsters who ran the streets of South Central, real gang members, yo. You also got people out here in New York. And listen, my parents kept me off of those streets. My people kept me off of those streets. But I do feel like, you know, I know a lot of the people because we all went to the same schools. We played on the same basketball teams and baseball teams. And I know a lot of these guys from childhood. You feel me? But when we was at the park playing ball or whatever, these cats was staying on the streets. They was out there hustling, selling drugs, out there fighting for the neighborhood, putting on, getting locked up, fighting people from, you know, representing Hempstead, representing Freeport in the juvenile system, representing them upstate, going upstate, representing Nassau County, representing New York. I've never had those situations. So when it come time to talk tough and talk about snitching and talk about all of that gang stuff, listen, man, I kept my mouth shut because that was not my life, son. Kept my mouth shut and I stayed out of that stuff. So the point I'm making is that you see these King Tuts out here from New York. You see these Majestics, all of these cats from Brooklyn, these names, these AZs, all of these cats. Listen, these cats lived a lifestyle that was straight up dangerous. Listen to Alpo's story. Listen to Alpo's story. Listen to Rich Porter's story. This stuff is real, son. And it's no joke. But you got damn, look. I think I got to cross the street. But you got cats that get online who's never lived these lifestyles, son. Never lived any of this stuff. But yet and still, they want to talk about who's snitching, who's not a real gang member, who's this. Listen, y'all not qualified to say that. And it really bothers me because it represents a lifestyle that these cats don't live. They never was on the streets like that, don't know anything about the lifestyle that these people are talking about, but yet and still, they're trying to glamorize it like it's something to be proud about. And they're going on Adam 22 show talking to real people through it, son, telling them, oh, you snitched and this and that, and they getting on lines and getting on, you know, these chat lines, which they really are just nothing but chat lines, talking gangster stuff. Cut it out, man. This stuff is real. Stuff is real. And it's no fun and games, man. I got a cousin, right? Y'all could go check it out. I got a cousin. My cousin, you know, I ain't even gonna say his name, but his last, well, I ain't even gonna do all of that. But he got, you know, something happened to him and he's no longer with us. And the pain that it caused the family is real. And to hear cats online who are good kids speak about this stuff, it bothers me. So we got somebody on the check and they said it bothers me that we bragging about who snitching and etc. They worse than the snitch. A lot of them live in fantasy. Facts. And snitching. We talk about snitching and how snitching. Listen, man, I'm going to be real with y'all, man. I'm going to be real with y'all, yo. There's people out here terrorizing the neighborhood. And listen, gang members doing things to gang members, street cats doing stuff to street cats, I stay out of it. But when you start messing with the average person that's just trying to go to work, a child, that's not snitching. A gang member rob a regular civilian that's just walking on these streets, I'm calling the cops. Fuck that. I don't care what y'all say. You know what I mean? I'm like, come on, you can't be terrorizing the neighborhood. You gang members doing what y'all want to each other, that's on y'all. But when you stick up an old woman or, you rob somebody like me who, I go to work every single day, you're wrong for that, bruh. You're wrong. You're wrong, man. You feel me? You're wrong. And it bothers me that these internet cats who ain't never been through anything got the nerves to try to call somebody a snitch and try to make it a bad thing. Now, we're going to go into this internet bullying, man. And it's this cat who I see online, man. Another dude made a whole page about this cat. Basically, not even allowing this man to live, talking about his loved ones. Anything that this brother do, he's talking about him online. Now, it's funny to a certain extent, but it got to be a point where it got to stop. It got to stop. No person should have to live that, man, where you just trying to show your life online, and then you got people that's just running off that at the mouth and just messing with every single thing you do, yo. That's wrong to me, yo. And I'm not no moral police or anything like that. And, you could get it how you live, whatever you want to do. However, I'm not going to judge you off of that. But still, man, have some some sympathy for people, man. When people come online, don't be bullying them, yo. Don't be bullying them, especially if you're not that type of person to stand on it in real life, man. Especially if you're not that type of person to stand on it in real life. I see it with boxers, because y'all know I rock with boxers, man. I like boxing. And I seen some of these, I think Zab, or another real cat straight from Brooklyn, man. Zab Judah. And there was somebody talking crazy about him online. And they actually introduced that cat to Zab, yo. And homie had peanut butter in his mouth, stuttering in between his words. It was just crazy, So the internet has most definitely created a space where people can speak and not have to stand behind their words. And I just challenge y'all, man. I challenge you cats, man. Don't say nothing on the internet that you wouldn't say in real life, man. For real. Don't say anything on the internet that you wouldn't say in real life, because it creates an environment that is bad for everyone, Definitely bad for everyone. Somebody said just hating on his bro because he down on luck. Facts, facts, facts. That's like my brother. Your brother, what your brother did, man, what your brother did. Sound like they got a crush on him. He said, sound like they got a crush on him. Yeah, for real. Sometimes when you don't got movement in your life, you latch on to other people, man. You latch on to other people. When, I'm not above it. I found myself doing that a couple times. And it's so funny because I actually met some of the people who I was hating on online. One of these cats, in the boxing community. And I had to stop because I looked into this brother's eyes, man. And he claimed he from Harlem, but he live out there on the West Coast. So he was out here for a fight. And I'm in these streets, you know what I mean? So I go to fights, you feel me? So I seen this cat in person, and I looked in his eyes, and I'm like, yo, damn, son, what am I doing? Why am I stalking this cat online? And I'm like, yo, this cat is, I don't want to use certain words, but listen, if it came down to it, he can't stand behind the stuff that he was saying. And I was like, yo, that's whack of me. It's whack of everybody to do that. And I had to look at myself and be like, man, I ain't gonna do this no more. And I actually became a better person, But this is the end of my live. We over here at this beautiful 7-Eleven establishment. I'm about to go up in here, make myself a coffee, catch that train, and we up out of here, my people. Thanks everybody for checking in. I love y'all, We're not gonna be on here tomorrow because it's the weekend, but we coming back on Monday. If this the type of stuff y'all cats like, man, go back and check out some of the stuff that I was saying prior to this in the other days. But peace out, man. I love y'all. All right, we're gonna read the comments. Somebody said, my brother funny. He want money, but couldn't get all of it. This ninja started telling me, telling my 96-year-old granny start telling my 96-year-old grandma for money. I'm like, she 96 in a different world. My bro told me, F you, but I relived. Damn, bro, that's crazy. Sound Mank BK. Shout out, man. Bless up, you. Stay safe. All right, man. Y'all already know what it is. I love y'all. Thank you for checking in. We up out here. Peace out, man. Yeah.